On this episode, wiring. Lots and lots of wiring. So, this truck came to me without wiring. It was all cut out. And I've started to rewire it with the wiring kit that was given to me with the truck. And it is a, what does that say? A Mopar chassis harness for, I think he said it was for like a Barracuda. Not a big deal. All of these wires are marked for like, that says front left turn signal, and they're clearly marked. They're all these are pretty self-evident where they go. It just takes a lot of time to, terminate at them where they're supposed to go. So I've started on ignition and charging. I got to the charging part, and it started throwing sparks. And I thought, what the heck? Well, it reminded me when I bought this, the kid said that the wiring, when they hooked up a battery, the wires everywhere started to melt. So it turns out the alternator was shorted to ground internally. So the case was hot. And because you put a bolt through it, it's shorting it to ground through there. So I replaced that alternator. That's like a 70s Chevy Caprice alternator. Super awesome. I really like it. Only a 3-wire. Very simple to use, internally regulated. Man, I love it. It's a little wonky on the how the bracketry is done. I'll probably have to go back and fix that. So I have been working on ignition, trying to wire it up so that I wouldn't have to start the truck out here anymore, get it one step closer to being able to start it from inside the truck. So, running the hot leads to my relays, and you see this stuff, this is a no-no. I've only done this to get the truck running to make sure everything's correct. I've left all the wires extremely long. They're laying around till I get to where I'm comfortable with running it in a loom and tucking it away. And then I'll shorten it with proper weatherproof terminals, which I have on order. So I just want to make sure I got it running, kind of get the wires laid out to, kind of where I want them, and then I'll start terminating them and putting proper connections on them and getting it, tidied up for the road. So that's everything out here. Some of these wires that came in that Painless kit are like through wires. So there's here. This is your starter solenoid hot. So when this engages, it pulls the magnet in, and it runs the hot down to your starter. And I was having a hard time. I was finding cables that were like, I couldn't figure them out. Anyway, the starter solenoid wire does not go into this little box here. It actually just runs through the loom and runs out, obviously. Once I figured that out, it was like, duh. Of course it does. So I wired this in, and I left it loose so that you guys could see how I wired it. So how these work is, the bottom would be your hot in, and then the top would be your hot out after the switch. So anything that you want to trigger off the switch will go to the top, and the bottom is a ground for your LED light. And then so I got hot in, that comes from my what's that called? Fuse block. I got a hot in that comes from my fuse block, and the hot out, I have one running out to trigger my coil, my fuel pump, and then I have the other running into the starter momentary switch. So this is running out to the coil starter relay out there, the starter solenoid, through this. And this is just a momentary, and obviously if you don't have this ignition up, this switch doesn't do anything. Now, Watch what happens. You flip it up. LED light comes on because I do have a ground on it. And then this is my momentary. Starts up, no problem. And then boom, shuts it off. Just that simple. It's a very, very simple process. Hot in on the bottom, hot out after the switch on the top. And then, so another example of how this would work in a different scenario. This switch is going to be my fan bypass. A fan relay bypass. So when I want my fan to kick on, like say I know I'm going to be parked in a parking lot for a while, I will actually run, instead of, these are ground wires to light the LEDs, I'll run a hot over to this bottom instead of a hot, and then this will be a ground. This side will be a hard ground, and then I'll have the bypass, so a wire coming from my fan relay to here, and then when I want my relay to trip, this side will go to my ground. So my fan relay has a ground trip for the relay. So anytime that I want to use it, I got a zip tie back there. When I flip this up, that top will ground out, turn my relay on. So that's how that works. Very, very simple. Ignition would be coil and fuel pump. Boom, boom. Momentary switch for my starter solenoid. Boom. Easy. And this thing, can we just talk about that for a second? It's 55 degrees out here. Can we just talk about that? How easy that starts? Oh my God. I haven't even started this thing. Ugh. So that's where we're at there. And it is charging. I did get the charger wired in too, so it's charging at 15.3, which is kind of high, but still within acceptable limits. Obviously, I'm going to replace all these, do the loom. I probably won't start on the actual lights and stuff till later. That's going to be a whole nother process of pulling wire, and I'll probably get those laid out close, and then I want the truck on the road really before I go through all the lights, you know. So what's next is the drive shaft needs shortened about 2 inches. The exhaust needs to be hung. They cut the exhaust hangers, so exhaust needs to be hung back up properly. And is that it? Oh, brakes. Brakes. Somebody cut the brake line. I'm not sure why. I'm assuming that's rear. If you don't know, the front on these, this front out here, that's your rear brakes. So they've cut the rear brakes. I'm guessing that the lines in the rear brakes are shot. So brakes will be next after all that crap. So anyway, whole lot of wiring going on, a lot of just bending my mind. I took this whole relay out of the truck, took it in the house. All these little taped up is because I taped them up in sections of how they're supposed to be laid out, and where I wanted them to go. So I laid it all out in the house, went through it, and pretty much slept with it one night because there's just so much wires, and it hurts my brain. So I just went through, bundled them up how I thought they should go, so that I know where they're going to terminate. Because some of them terminate in the back, some of them terminate in the front, clear over there. So you got to figure out how you're going to lay this stuff out, where it goes through the firewall. Does it dip underneath? Do you go to the back and down, or how it all goes? So you have to kind of like figure it out in your head before you go out here and run your wire. And same with my ignition stuff. I'm still doing that. Like I don't like, some of these are signal wires and some of them are, hots, permanent hots, and I don't want them mixed up. So, I want to make sure that they all get terminated correctly before I tidy them up. And obviously everything's right. It starts up and runs right now. So, before I loom anything solid for good, which I've, started to, make a little loom here, before I do that, I want to, make sure I get everything added in there before I, wrap it or loom it or however I'm going to do it to protect it. So, it's just a lot of exercising your brain. I never want to be a wire guy. I think all of the wire guys people who ended up being a wire guy, it's like I swear to God, it's like a villain's origin story. Nobody ever sets out in their life like, I like wiring. I think it's just, you end up being a wire guy. And it's some kind of a villain background story because nobody wants this. This is horrible. If you like this, you're sick. There's something wrong with you. This is terrible. Look at this. Are you kidding me? Who wants to go through that crap? So anyway, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of brain power, and we're just taking it slow, taking our time, doing it right. And, give me about 2 more weeks, and we'll see where we're at.